Don't get me wrong, I am a huge advocate for the existence of a large bipedal ape in North America. But I do think that there are a lot, and I mean a lot of things that get said within the Bigfoot community that are either just flat out wrong or have no scientific, data-driven backing. So today, we're gonna put 5 of the top claims that I hear all the time in the Bigfoot community to the test using actual data from Bigfoot witness reports. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be controversial, but it's time that we start using actual data to back up these claims that get constantly perpetuated throughout the community. Also, if you're new here, hi, my name's Terrestrial. I am a naturalist, an ex-NASA researcher, and also the creator of the Sasquatch Data Project. Science, math, statistics, and Bigfoot are my passions in life. They are my absolute jam. So if you love those things too, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and follow me on my other socials. I would love to interact with you over on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, wherever. Anyway, before we dive into the numbers and into these facts about Bigfoot, let's set the scene of where I'm getting my data. So as I said in my intro, I am the creator of the Sasquatch Data Project, which is basically a mission to take Bigfoot witness reports and turn them into a format that is optimized for data analysis. AKA, I'm making a huge spreadsheet. At the time of recording, I've parsed over 2,200 reports into this spreadsheet of 160 plus columns. These columns or variables in the spreadsheet contain information pertaining to the physical and behavioral traits of the Sasquatches mentioned in the reports. They also contain information on environmental variables and witness information as well. So for this investigation, I used my dataset filtered only by Class A sighting reports to reduce the chance of noise being introduced into the data if we included something like Class B reports. And this left us with 1,003 reports to use for analysis. It's also worth noting that the majority of these reports came from the southern and western regions of the United States, because that's just where I've been focusing my energy and getting reports added to the data set. And the sample sizes of those regions are roughly the same. I think right now the western region has about 20 more reports than the southern. Okay, now that all of that is settled, let's dive into our first fact or claim. Bigfoot is purely nocturnal. This is probably one of the first claims that I ever heard about Sasquatches when I really started diving into the subject. If you want to see a Sasquatch, you have to go out at night. But to my knowledge, no one's ever looked into if this claim has any kind of footing once you run the numbers on witness reports. So if we only look at Class A sightings that include a time of day, that leaves us with 887 reports. And the results might be a little surprising. 47.4% of sighting reports happen during the day. And I classified this as any time between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. That's nearly half of all reported encounters. And on the flip side, nighttime reports make up 43.5% of sightings. And I said nighttime included reports between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. And finally, less than 10% of reports indicated that the Sasquatch was seen during dusk or dawn. So it's clear that saying that Sasquatches are purely nocturnal might be a bit of a stretch if we want to bring numbers and data into the mix. Now, some of this is probably due to the fact that there are more humans out and about during the daytime over the nighttime. But if Sasquatches were truly nocturnal animals, we still would expect to see more sightings happening during the night versus the day. Moving on to claim number 2. Sasquatches are only found in super remote areas and avoid human civilization. And I want to be clear, I am not saying Sasquatches aren't elusive. I'm not saying that there aren't more Sasquatches living in remote areas versus those near humans. I'm just saying the data points to them coming close to humans or into human areas more frequently than we might expect. Looking at the data, 47% of reports happened near areas of human activity. 35.5% happened near roads, either road crossings, the Sasquatch was on the road, off the road, or the witness was driving on a road when they saw it. And 11.1% of reports happened when the witness was at home. So from a pure numbers point of view, 467 of these 1,003 sighting reports happened where humans live, work, and drive. And again, I want to be clear, I'm not claiming that you're more likely to see a Sasquatch around your home. I'm just saying that Sasquatches probably aren't only found in these ultra-remote areas, at least as they're reported by witnesses. Onward to claim number 3, Sasquatches have eyeshine. This is something that I hear all the time. Sasquatches have eyeshine. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that being true. I just have no idea if it is. Regardless of what I think, though, it honestly doesn't matter. If we look at the data, 101 sighting reports mention some sort of eye shine. 29 reports mention that the eye shine was red, while 13% mention it was yellow. But the thing that I'm hung up on is this 15% that claim there was no eye shine in a situation where there should have been. Meaning they saw the Sasquatch in their headlights or with a flashlight, and they could clearly see the eyes devoid of eye shine. So that's roughly 1 in 6 witnesses that saw Sasquatches in these situations did not see eye shine at all. So it is worth noting that eye shine is dependent on things like light angle, intensity, etc. But it's just strange for me to think that individuals within the same species would have such structural differences to their eyes. But to be fair, this is sometimes seen in nature. There are domestic cat breeds that lack eye shine, but it's just one of those weird things, and I'm not really sure how to feel about it. But I'm straying from the original topic at hand. Do Sasquatches all have eye shine? The data doesn't really point towards that. Claim number 4 is one that y'all have most definitely heard me talk about before. Sasquatches are more active under a full moon. This is the original question that got my gears turning to even create the Sasquatch Data Project. I wanted to find out if this was true. Looking only at sighting reports where we can actually calculate a moon illumination percentage, that leaves us with 472 reports. And I'm gonna be totally transparent. The data does partly support this claim. Near full moon conditions, meaning a moon illumination of 75 to 100%, make up about 39% of sightings. And the increase in frequency of sighting reports during this time is statistically significant if you're comparing it to the frequencies of the middle values. But it is also worth noting that there is a stark increase in sighting reports during new moon conditions as well, or where the moon is anywhere between 0 and 25% illuminated. Those conditions make up 30.5% of sightings. So while this claim is not totally false, we cannot ignore this increase in sighting reports during new moon conditions. All right, and our last claim is probably the most controversial and the one that I get the most pushback on. This is the thing that people get riled up about. Sasquatches are typically over 8 feet tall. I don't know why the height thing is so controversial. I don't know why people get so upset when I bring this up, but this is something that we can absolutely analyze using witness reports. Out of the 776 sighting reports that I analyzed, only 16% claim the Sasquatch was over 8 feet tall. That is less than 1 in 5 sightings. The overall average reported height was 7.2 feet, the median coming in at 7.5 feet. And while that is quite tall, these numbers don't stack up to the amount of times that I've heard that Sasquatches are typically over 8 feet tall. And I know, you don't have to tell me. Folks are really bad at estimating heights and judging distances. But there is this thing called the wisdom of the crowd, where basically if you have a bunch of random people estimate the size of a thing, they actually get pretty dang close to what the actual number is. Because you have people that will greatly over and underestimate the size, you average out at about where the true size is. And I'm not saying that's happening here. I honestly have no idea. I'm just looking at the numbers that are given to me in these reports. But it is just interesting that only 16% of folks are reporting these heights of over 8 feet. And shameless plug, if you want to learn more about Sasquatch heights and how they correlate to human psychological responses, go read my paper on my website, sasquatchdataproject.com. Well, there you go, folks. These Bigfoot facts didn't really stand up to the data. And I'm not saying, too, that these numbers won't change further down the line once I've added more reports to the data set. But, a sample size of 1,003 sighting reports is definitely big enough to start looking into the trends and the patterns. I will always be a big advocate that we need to be a little more careful of how we present information regarding Sasquatches, and especially we need to be using some kind of data to back up our claims, whether that's from witness reports or data that you have gathered in the field and then analyzed thoroughly. But I'll get off my soapbox. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And if any of these little tidbits were interesting, make sure you tell me in the comments. I would love to know. Thank you so much again for watching. If you want to keep up with me on my other socials, make sure you look me up on pretty much anywhere, but I mostly post on Facebook and Instagram. My handle is @SasquatchData. But that's all I got for today, folks. Stay rad.